What is up, everybody? How you guys doing? Welcome in to another Pixo stream with me, Ian. How you guys doing? What is up, Snuckster? How you guys doing? May the force be with us. That's right. Edu100719993. How you doing? Hello, hello. Welcome in, guys, to another Pixologic stream. My name is Ian, aka IR Sculpts, and I make toys for a living. And I also 3D print stuff, and it's fun. What is up, Jimmy is missing? Before we get into what we're doing today and what we're planning on doing in the future, because I have a big project that a lot of you last week were really excited about, and I have not forgotten it, trust me. Uh, but what I want to get into first is follow, like, subscribe, all that good stuff here on Pixo, because obviously I'm not the only artist here. There's tons of artists with a lot of experience, not only in the industry, but also how to really just better your skills in ZBrush. A lot of us do it in our own unique way, which is beautiful about ZBrush because it's pretty much just get in there and do something and hit some buttons and create something that's awesome. So feel free to ask questions. Feel free to jump in and say, hey, why did you do it that way? No worries. I'll share my thoughts. They're not always right, but at least it's a direction. And also, too, we have ZBrush Summit coming up October 23rd through the 26th, guys. We have some really fun stuff that's coming. So, really excited for it. You all know the infamous Sculpt Off is happening. Everybody can join. So, make sure to go to summit.pixologic.com to register to compete with me because it will be awesome. Fun stuff. How's it going? It's going pretty good, Jimmy. How are you doing? I'm really excited. It's Sunday. I did all my adult things, like shopping and, cleaning out my car and yelling at my kids to do the right thing in life, all that good stuff. Getting ready to send them back to school. So, yeah, it's been good. So I'm excited to sculpt, take a little time to have some fun. So, what are we doing today? So, we were going to start an anime project, and I promise you we are going to start an anime project. I have it right here. This is taking a little bit longer to plan than I anticipated, because we're going to be doing this piece. If you are a huge fan of Demon Slayer like I am, then you'll know that Nexuko and Tanjiro sculpture is is been something I've been wanting to do for a very long time, and now I have the courage to do it. So we're gonna do it. I've been prepping, getting a lot of resources. I use PureRef to get a ton of resources. Hey, which cat? Hello, hello. So this is happening. If we don't get to it today, next week for sure we will be. But I would really love to finish this zombie Captain America. I am super excited about What If. If you've seen it, please don't spoil it. Just convince people to go watch it. I think that's going to be a really interesting series. And I can't wait for the zombie series. But this is where we've gotten so far. And I just was sketching this the other day, and I really liked it, so I wanted to finish it, which is always good. So this will be a lot of fun. We're gonna eventually move to coloring, detailing the hats, and then probably giving him some clothing, just a little bit, even though it will be a bust. He looks a little nudie, so we're gonna go ahead and fix some of that stuff up. So let's actually maybe start with the cloth a bit, and we can work our way through while I'm thinking about it. Lewis, what is up? How you doing? Have you ever made game-related stuff? Um, Not for an actual studio. In the 3D character workshop where I got most of my skills and teeth cut, they teach you to prep stuff for 3D for games, but I haven't actually done it for a game. So no, not exactly. Hello from Brazil. How you doing, Carlos? Hey, what's up, Chris? Welcome in. Greetings from Venezuela. Nice. Welcome in. All right. So let's go ahead and get him a little bit of clothing. Am I going to texture him? Let's see. Am I going to? Yes. I'm planning on detailing him a little bit more. This has just been a total of 5 hours. I sketched him out early last week. I think like Monday. I had some time and I sculpted him. The concept of him in like 2 hours, and then from there, I turned around and started playing with details, and now we're gonna be here. So let's just stop talking about it. Hello, hello, Ryan. Yeah, 5 hours. Yeah. So I'm pretty excited about this piece. sometimes you just need to sculpt on your own. You know, I'm so used to sculpting in front of an audience, and I'm not complaining, trust me, I love it. But sometimes you just need to like go nuts. And I had some time, and I was like, ooh, this will be fun. I want to make a Mortal Kombat Scorpion bust, but when I try to make the mask, I don't like the result. Any tips? Yeah, so when you try to make the mask, well, first off, make sure that the face is relatively symmetrical and not super high detailed, because you'll get a lot of nooks and crannies. But mask extract would be your best friend, because it will pick up the little details of the face. So like when I wanted to make this helmet here, I knew how it was going to be posed, but I have a version of him. Or maybe I don't. Maybe it's in my history. When before I posed him, what I did was I kept them symmetrical. I kept them T-posed. And let's actually bring up, let me show you on a better model of this. I haven't done anything to him yet. Let's get this guy. Everybody knows the ZBrush dude, the demo head himself. So the best thing to do is just work with your base geometry. And what I would recommend doing, and this is just me, go to your high subdivisions, duplicate it out by hitting Control-Shift-D, that will duplicate, and then go ahead and delete lower. And then what I recommend doing is doing just like a little bit of a light smooth, because we're making a mask and we don't want all the imperfections of the face. So we're going to want the surface to be just a little bit softer, no details. So I would smooth that out a little bit. But don't like wipe out all the main forms and shapes. Just tone it down a little bit. Something like that. And then with the mask, we're just going to use a simple mask and select. So go ahead and either with holding down Control, you can do this with your mask pen, which is default, or you can use select mask lasso along with mask pen, which is what I like to do, because you can select really quickly. So I'll turn to the profile, I'll turn around and just do this kind of shape like that. And then I'll flip that around, and now I have a masked out version of said mask. And I did this for the helmet, by the way, on the zombie cap. Then I'll switch back to mask pen. I'll go ahead and I'll just refine this mask however I need it to be. So something like that. So you get the basic shape. You don't have to go too crazy detail unless you want, but this will give you the basic shape. Clean that up a little bit. And if you want, this is your time to sharpen it, so you can either hold Control Alt Tab and sharpen that, or you can go over to masking, and there's a sharpen mask button. So once you get the mask that you relatively like, then you're just going to go ahead, go to subtool, you're going to go to extract, and then you're going to go ahead and change this thickness to 0. And the reason for that is because if it has a thickness of 0, it's going to give you a single plane surface to work with. And I find that a lot easier to ZRemesh and clean up. So turn that to 0 and then hit extract. And you can't really see much of what's going on, but we're going to go ahead and say accept. And now this is our mask. Okay? From here, what we're going to do is you can invert that mask. Don't clear it right away. Soften it by holding Control and just tapping a little bit. We can turn the poly groups on so you can see what's going on. And what I recommend doing is taking your Move Infinite brush, so B, M, N, turning it to profile, and just slightly cleaning up some of the areas that might be a little too warbly, a little too funky dunky. Okay. Then from here, we're going to go to deformation, and then we're going to do polish by features. And that's going to help crisp that up. So if I zoom in, see it's a little wavy, and then when I do polish by features, it helps kind of straighten that up a little bit. You can do that a few times to get a nice clean edge. And now we can ZRemesh. Now notice when you mask and extract, it's hard to tell, but this area right here, this area is indeed creased. That's going to help us. So what we can do from there is we can go down to, bloop. Actually, you know what? We're going to do one more step here real quick. We're going to make sure that we cut out the holes where the eyes are. So let's hold mask pen, and we're going to mask this section. And you know what? We should have done this here. Sorry. We can just go ahead and mask out the eye holes. Getting ahead of myself because I'm super excited. So let's do it at that. You know what? Let's turn off these lines so you can see a little bit better. So what we just did, we're going to do again, but we're going to make sure that those holes are cut out of the eye. Then we can just repeat that process. Extract, accept. Now look at that, right? And don't worry if this little piece right here is floating. Just select it, get rid of it, and then we can go to delete hidden, which, if you want to know, is geometry, modify topology, and delete hidden. So again, let's go ahead and just soften that mask, clean this up a bit. And just so you know, you guys can re-watch this on YouTube. So if I'm moving too fast, don't worry about it. It's okay. You can come back at any point in time and you can re-watch this. And then let's go ahead. And I have a shortcut, polished by features. So it's just an easy way. Go ahead and clean that up. Okay, now that we have our base mask that we like, we didn't like this one, let's delete it. Look at those ugly teeth. Okay, let's clear that mask on that tool. And let's go ahead and delete that subtool because we don't need it. We have our original, and then we have our mask. From here, all we have to do is ZRemesh it, and then get it nice and clean. So I'm going to go to Geometry, ZRemesher. I'm going to turn on Keep Groups and Keep Creases. Now, Keep Groups might seem a little pedantic or just unnecessary because there's only one group, but I don't know. I like the results, so it's just habit. So I like to keep it. But I mean, you could always, if you wanted to at some point even help get better results, you know, we can add another polygroup if we wanted to. So, but keep groups, keep creases, target of 5. I turn adapt off, symmetry is turned on, and ZRemesh. Now that's going to give us a pretty decent result, but it's still too dense. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go to half, and I'm going to go ahead and ZRemesh this a few times until I get something that I like, which is going to be good. We get our standard move brush. Again, you can refine this however you want. Pull this out. You can shape this. There you go. We have symmetry turned on, so that should be affecting the other side. And from here, we can just make it thick by going to Z modeler, so B, Z, M, and we can hover over face, polygroup all, Q mesh, and extract that bad boy out. And now we have a mask. What is ZBrush Summit? Jimmy is missing. Asks, what is ZBrush Summit? ZBrush Summit is every year ZBrush basically throws a what's the word, like an event that they showcase top studios, top artists, tips, tricks, things about ZBrush that maybe you didn't know. They bring people to it. They let panels. They have panels where people, professionals who use it on a day-to-day speak. There's just a lot of stuff. And then, of course, too, they also do the famous Sculpt Off, which allows you to enter into a competition against other artists, which is pretty cool. So, yeah. Where can you download, steal, buy, and like your ZBrush UI profile? My ZBrush profile soon will be available. I keep saying that, don't I? It will be. I'm going to be packaging it all up and giving it away very, very soon. Follow my socials. That's going to happen. I promise. I pinky swear. But it does happen. We get my information so you guys could follow. More importantly, I'll probably be dropping it in the Discord first, but I'm trying to find a place where I can upload stuff, not be limited on space, but also get you guys the things I just give away, because I like to do that. So that will be coming soon. I'm just kind of sorting it out. But if you message me in the Discord, I will be able to just send it to you. Hey, what's up? Attentive Slug, how you doing? Great, thank you very much. I'll try. Not a problem. Okay, yeah. So there's our mask. And oh, one more thing, real quick too. If you are using dynamic subdivision, so you hit D on the keyboard and it kind of smooths it out. You can use thickness there too by going to dynamic subdivision, thickness, cranking that bad boy up so that it's temporary until you want to make it official. And then you can set that offset in a little bit so it goes into the face instead of just floating there. And then from there you can just, now when you modify the shape, you're actually just modifying the one group. And then from there, you know, grab the pinch brush and start shaping your mask however you need to. So while this is an ugly mask, this is what I did for, open it. Nope, screw it, for my zombie cat. Sweet. I'll be watching you. Do I sell models on websites for passive income? I do not, no. Because most of the models I do is fan art, and, you know, if it's not yours, probably best not to sell. That's my take on it. But, okay. 9 times out of 10, I just, and you know, unless I'm doing a, if I'm doing work for a client, well, in this case, I work at Funko now, so I don't really have any clients anymore, but when I would freelance and work for myself, I would charge just whatever I did for the person. But fan art I never really did sell. I feel like if it's not your IP, there's too many risks versus rewards. But that's getting deep with that. That's just my own opinion. Very Watchmen look and feel. Oh, nice. Uncle Jesse! What is happening, dude? Yeah, not a problem. Uncle Jesse's in the house, guys. If you don't know who he is, then you don't know 3D printing. Go check him out. Click on his name. Alright, we're just kind of polishing this up, cleaning it up a little bit. Gonna do a basic soft, like a soft little, you know, smooth. And then I'm gonna take the pinch brush, gonna refine some of this. Now I'm working with pretty low geometry and subdivision, so I will be applying that. Now I'm sculpting this asymmetrically, by the way, so it's gonna be a lot of fun there. Hey, Happy Extruder, how you doing, buddy? So we're just kind of pinching the sides a little bit. And I'm planning on using some thickness, where are we? Thick skin, to do the next step. I think thick skin's pretty cool for a lot of fun stuff, so. Let's drop the subdivision and let's kind of mask off this area right here. Because Cap's back of the helmet, it kind of flares a little bit. At least from some of the things I've seen. So we're going to kind of come back here. Put this more in the middle. We're going to kind of flare this out a bit. Little details like this make a big difference. And let's unmask that section. How do you keep your strokes and hand movements so smooth? Honestly, it's just practice. That's the easiest answer and the most honest at the same time. I'm also on a giant Cintiq, so on a 22. That does help a little bit because I just have a big hand, so I'm able to relax it on the surface, but definitely not necessary. It's just something that works well for me. But the more you practice making your strokes, just like when you draw, the easier it becomes, and the less you rely on little things like lazy mouse and stuff. So all of that can play a factor. Popping that up. Learn it from me, yeah. Trying to help, trying to do it. Okay, that's not giving me the result I thought it would give me. Not quite sure why. Let's try this again. Go ahead and rotate that a little bit. Let's flare it out and up it. Maybe do something like that. There we go. Something just a little bit more fun. Kind of breaks the silhouette a little bit too, so that's always good. Gives the piece a little bit more interest. Have I ever used deformers for stuff like that? Sometimes, yes. Not all the time. I'm actually learning more about deformers, but sometimes I just kind of rely on the old school approach, the brute force method, so to speak. And that's a little bit, that's more out of habit, but yeah, sometimes I've used it. Okay, there we go. And then now try to define some of these shapes a little bit more. So I'm using the damn standard. Kind of come in here, just refine some of that. Also, okay, gonna turn on backface just to make sure it's not going through. Sometimes you'll be sculpting this awesome detail, and then you'll realize that you've been breaking up the mesh on the other side because it's just too thin. If that ever happens, just turn backface mask on. That usually prevents that. There we go. Do you have the replay last in your config profile? Yes, I do. I believe so. Wait. You mean hitting 1 on the keyboard for instance? Let's see, stroke. I believe it's under stroke. Is it? Replay all record? Maybe, maybe not. Maybe I don't. Yes. Okay. Okay. Yeah, it's a good, pressing 1 on the keyboard is amazing. Highly recommended. Especially if you want to do or get little cuts like that. Okay. I'm going to hold Alt and just going to kind of pinch those areas real quickly, keeping those plane changes really nice and sharp. Is that a monster from the movie Judge Dredd? No, it's not actually. It's my take. It's my interpretation of zombie Captain America. But I've been getting that a lot. And the first time I saw it, I was like, okay, yeah, I actually do see that. But yeah. Nope, I got excited for What If and said, zombie Captain America, let's do that. You know. Okay, so this is my reference, by the way, for Captain America's helmet right now. So we're going to stick pretty close to this, or at least attempt to. But I'm using pure ref for those who want to know, so I have a ton of resources. Anytime you're sculpting something, you could be a super guru at anatomy, and it will never hurt to just go back and check reference. But we can't be a master of everything. So I'm not a seamstress. I'm not I don't even know how to sew. I can sew a button, but I don't understand fabric and cloth so well, so I definitely choose reference. So this is the Captain America shots that we're going for, just to kind of get a good look at his helmet. So I'm going to start cutting some seams and stuff like that into this here very, very shortly. Let's actually start cutting, and this is kind of my take on the helmet. I'm not going to modify too much, but let's get the /3 brush. So BS3, not 2 like I did before. Let's go to thick skin and turn this on. Now thick skin's really cool. It's a slightly older feature now. I believe it came out in 2021. But what's really neat about this is you can set a thickness on the mesh that you're going for, and then you could carve into that and then bottom out and then turn it off to make it official. But let's say, let's say you like really want to carve this out pretty thick and that's too deep and you don't like it, you don't like it at all, you can just turn the thickness off. Instead of hitting Control Z, turn the thickness off and paint that back, and then it's as good as new. So turn it down to 0, paint it back, and then turn it off, and you just undid everything. So this gives you a lot of freedom to play around with some ideas. But for hard surface, what I really like is we'll turn this on. We'll actually go, let's see, it's not, 20 might be pretty good. What we're going to do here is I'm going to start, let's start right here. Let's turn lazy mouse on, go a little slower. What I'm going to do is actually kind of come up this way. I could probably do something with a slash brush real quick, which is, let's see something real quick. Morph target. I want to turn on the morph target. Store morph target. This way, when I come through and I need a continuous stroke, I can do it relatively seamless. And this thick skin is a little too thick, so let's go 20. Yeah, that will help me a lot. I want to learn on how to make seams and the cuts for superheroes so it's nice. So we're going to go ahead and let's start right here. I actually want a bigger lazy mouse. Start. And with lazy mouse, there's this need to like want to speed up, but you could literally slow down and stop. Take your time. Just trace that out. And hit 1 on the keyboard until I get the seam that I like. There we go. Now I'm going to continue this around. Actually work the other side. Now I'm going to start down here because my best stroke actually goes left to right, and that's super important to know as an artist because we can really get the best result out of taking our time. We're just going to come down. Lazy mouse, nice and slow movements, nothing too crazy. Hit 1 until it bottoms out, and you'll know it bottomed out because it's kind of flattening right there. Actually back that up a little bit, went a little too hard on that one. Okay, cool. Now I'm going to make this one seam going across this face. We're going to do this in portions. Love it when a plan comes together. The A on the forehead helps the quote. It does. I could do this all day. Like an idiot, I'm holding my breath while you do the stroke. I'm holding my breath too, man. So, kudos. All right, we're gonna actually save this out as detailing. So, like a crazy person, I decided to actually save the ZPR file because I'm saving the history, and I'm breaking that up into 2 different steps. So my plan is to actually minimize the history. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to save a detailing one. Oops. And then I'm going to go ahead and hit Control S and save over the sketch one. So if you're saving ZPRs, they can get really big, but I'm doing it for a time-lapse purpose. I'm going to try to do a couple of those. So what I'm going to do is save a ZTL, save the original ZPR, then I'm going to save a second ZPR. Then I'm going to reload the Z tool and delete this history, okay? So I'm going to go ahead in here and just, oops, no, don't switch. Come here, I'm just going to delete everything. You'll just wipe it. And I'm going to load my Z tool in. So wipe your history again. So if you're saving ZPR projects, a lot of times this is a way to kind of cut down on that. But now we can go ahead and start doing a little bit more fun stuff here. So we're going to clean up this stepping a bit. I'm actually going to subdivide it a couple times. And now I have my base stroke down. I'm going to kind of refine some of those areas, and then we're going to inflate them together, making it look a little bit nicer. So let's go ahead and now just turn on lazy mouse is there. I'm just going to use, actually let's use the stroke. Yeah, perfect. Let's turn that down. We don't need RGB. Kind of clean this up a little bit. How's everybody's weekend going on? And are you guys excited for the ZBrush Summit? Because I know I am. Amazing how these small details help give more life to the sculpture. Yep, absolutely. And it's just something to kind of take your time on a little bit too. You know, I used to rush a lot of my my details, and I would spend so much time on form, but I wouldn't spend enough time on finalizing and getting good solid details. So when you guys think of getting ready to finish your project, think about the amount of details you want to showcase in your piece, and detailing is its own character in itself. You know, it's going to take a good amount of time to get it looking nice. So if you're spending a long time blocking out or trying to rush to get the details, you know, then just take a breath, slow down a little bit. It's going to be good. Seams are really good because seams make things seem a little bit more complicated, because it indicates different materials. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to select his face underneath, or actually it's not his face, it's this extra padding I have. Push that down. Replace giant tier belt twice because I didn't want the wife to feel bad about buying the wrong belt. So hey, this doesn't work after you did all that work. Yep, goes a long way, absolutely. Okay, so now that we got the bulk of the seams pretty much where we want it. Let's put that head back in there. Now what I like to do with the seams, I actually like to inflate them closed. So I'm going to take the inflate brush, and I'm going to start with 10-15, slightly bigger brush. Actually, that might be too much. Let's go 6. I like to do little strokes over the seam. This will give it a little bit more of a natural feel to it. Now I'm also going to mask off this little area right here. Maybe go a little bit more than that. But what this will do, now if you're doing hard surface, you may want a little bit different of an approach, but what this will do is kind of make it seem like there's a little bit more of a natural pinch. That natural pinch is going to help indicate that these are brought together by a stitch or some sort. Bigger. So that's going to kind of bring that all together. Also, too, it's going to give us a little bit more depth when we decide to 3D print it. That'll be pretty cool. Going to come through. We are going to offer a little bit of cleanup. It's 5 a.m. here. I'm waking up with your life, and I'm zombie, but it's satisfying. Cool work. Hey, thanks so much. That's really cool. Well, good morning. Good morning. 5 a.m. That's the time I have to start waking up. I gotta start getting my kids ready for school in the morning again. Such a odd feeling. Haven't done it in a while. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and recrease area right here. Got a little bit of tearing right there. Bring that inflate back. Smooth that down. Solo this out for a second. So what we're fighting against actually looks like just not enough resolution. So let's back this up and then let's increase the resolution a bit. Yeah, that's fine. Pretty dense helmet, actually. Yeah, it's too dense. There we go. Sometimes you're gonna troubleshoot this stuff. That's kind of what's happening right now. It's not responding the way I want it to respond. So see what I want to do. Alright, here's the beauty part. We do have a morph target. So we're going to grab our morph. Oops, which is P and... Where are you? Morph. G. Okay. Needs a valid one? Okay. I'm going to reload it. I don't like it. Okay. That didn't work out the way I wanted it to. Let me revisit. Let's actually use... Let's actually turn around and I'm going to use Sculptors Pro at this point with damn standard. Nope, sorry, with /3. I'm going to kind of rebuild this geometry a little bit because This is a little funky here. Smooth this area down. Maybe get in here and fix this a bit. The main issue I'm experiencing right now, for those who are just joining, is I'm kind of fighting the geometry a little bit, and I want to fix that. So I'm going to go through and smooth this whole process down, because I do have subdivisions. I'm going to kind of re-hit it. This time I'm going to hit it with damn standard, but I'm not deleting it completely. Make sure thick skin is turned off. Okay, good. Let me turn that lazy mouse up a little bit. Let's sharpen this up a bit. A little bit harder. So sometimes you're gonna fight your geometry, and it's best to kind of don't argue with it. I just kind of try to clean it up and refine it. I'm testing this section right here to see something real fast before I commit to this. I want this to work. It might be a little bit too much. Okay. It's okay. So let's actually do this. I'm going to reload this. So when you struggle a little bit with your project, don't be afraid to go back a little bit. Now, luckily, I saved the ZPR with history. I don't usually recommend doing that. I usually recommend saving multiple Z tools, because history is harder to load, where you can go back a Z tool or two, fix your problem, and then come through. But it's okay to ultimately have a way. It doesn't matter how you do it. Just have a way to go back in time. Because if you don't like something, and you start fighting that geometry, it's going to be faster to come back in and rewind time with the time stone, and from there, kind of fix your problem. And so that's what I'm going to be doing right now, is fixing that problem. Let's actually come here. Take a look at my topology, make sure it's at least decent, which it's not terrible, it's not great. Hey there, Talden, how you doing? Never get attached, the greatest brush lesson. Indeed true. Absolutely, yep. Okay, so I think the mesh is fine. I think I just need to go up a little bit in the beginning. I started cutting this a little too low, so I'm going to actually cut it a little bit higher than that. So I'm going to go ahead and save this out as that Z tool that I needed. And then let's actually, I know we're doing a project save, but I'm going to go ahead and save out a Z tool as well as backup. And now save over my ZPR. Again, I'm only doing the ZPR because I want some fancy, like, time lapse eventually. That's why I never finish it. I don't like the result and I start over. But everything from the beginning. No! You can't do that. Not from the beginning. Just go back far enough to fix your mistake or your issues that you're not liking. Yes, I did, Skull Hat. I wasn't liking the scene that I was cutting. I'm still using the same method, but I didn't like the scene that was cut, and I didn't like how the topology was going, so I'm actually just, I went back a little bit, and we're going to do it again. That's what we're going to do, peeps. Actually, while we're doing this helmet cut, let's just put this over here for y'all to take a look at. And let's try this again in an instant replay. So instead of pinching this area like I wanted to, let's not even pinch it. Let's follow that line, and let's just cut it straight up. So let's go come on, BS3. There we go. Wouldn't it have been better to separate into poly groups and then use poly loops? Better, Depends on the method that you're looking for. I am approaching this as a sculpture feel, so I'm doing things by hand. That is a method that does work, yes, but not the result I'm going for. All right, perfect. Go a little bit more, and let's fix that morph target issue. Delete store. There we go. So instead of cutting below it, I'm going to cut on it. And I can't do that all in one stroke, and that's... well, maybe I can. Let's try it again. Challenge yourself. Look at that. Yeah, that's a little bit cleaner. Actually, that's a lot cleaner. Whenever I do a major change, I tend to stagger my saves like project 1, 2, 3. So if I royally screw up, I can just jump back to the older project. Absolutely. I do that as well most of the time with my ZTLs. I'll name them. I'll name them 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. for like whatever it is. But usually I'll add little notes within the name. So for example, it would say Zombie Cap 01 lockout, and then there'd be like a 2, 3, 4, whatever, however long it took me, and however big the ZTL was getting. And then let's say it took me 4 iterations, so then the next one would be Zombie Cat 05, you know, detailing, something like that. And I break through, so I know where the process is really changes in my ZTL save points, and then it's usually within the first couple that I can find my stuff pretty quickly. But again, everybody's work, everybody's method is different. And actually, you know what? I'm going to do this. I'm going to change this. So I'm going to come down. What? He's changing it? Yeah. Don't do that. Nah, I didn't hit this a couple times, so I wanted to do that. Oh yeah, if that works for you, man. Yeah, that's just the process that works for me, and it works really, really well. Okay, so this is why the morph target's really cool, because now you can't really see any nasty points in which it changes too quickly. So like this part right here can kind of just, there. That works out pretty well. That's looking a lot better already. Yay! So if a lot of you are new, I do like doing things by hand a little bit more. I feel like it just gives a little bit more of a interesting feel sculpturally. Because I tend to take the more like more of a sculpture approach. How does that make that sense? More of like a traditional sculpture approach. I like doing things by hand. That's a lot of what you see. Instead of, but I will use stuff like polyloopid and stuff. That's kind of acting a little funky here. Whoop, don't jump around, please. Go halfway there and halfway there. There. There we go. Nice. Alright. So looking at some of the other details, going to zoom in on his head a little bit more. Now, we're going to pick right about here. I'm going to use the mask feature. Kind of mask off Actually, what I should do, mask this section off here. That's going to allow me to kind of draw a little bit of a line around there and also give me a good space. Smash the quick save all the time and make too many saves on any big iteration. Layers and morphs have been a real help for me. Absolutely. Yeah, that helps me a lot too. Let's clear that mask for a second. There we go. Okay. Okay, let's do this. We're gonna actually take that /3. Gonna start that line right about there. Bit of a visual reference. Actually do there. So I'm gonna do this. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. Okay, I'm gonna show you what I just did. So we're gonna come here real quick. I'm gonna start this line. I'm gonna start drawing, hold shift. I'm gonna hold it down and let go of shift. That's gonna do that line. And when you hit 1 a couple times, that will, from there, repeat that stroke. So let's come right about here, because I want a little bit of a straighter line. There we go, matching the stroke of the rest of it as much as possible. Come here, hold shift. That a few times. Come here, hold shift. Actually, that's not far enough. Let's go right about here. There we go. That a couple times. Get a little bit of a straighter design here, which will be fun because we can mask out some other stuff with that helmet. See his skin popping through, so we'll push that down. Oh, thank you, man. I appreciate it. Now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take this part right here. I'm going to Control S and use that as reference. Grab this right here. Grab that /3. That is almost what we need. Matching the stroke line. We got, let's go stroke 10. Yeah, that's better. Okay. Now we're gonna come here, hold shift, and that's a little bit more like this. That a couple times. I mean, here at like a slight angle. We are sculpting asymmetrically, so we're gonna try our best to match that. Then we'll come through. That's not bad. Actually, yeah, that's not bad. That's actually pretty close. So I'll take it. Yes, yes, I had to do it manually from one side to another. Also, it's not that it's just the subdivisions alone, it's the fact that it's asymmetrical, so mirror and welding is going to cause it to match equally on both sides symmetrically. So because this is its straight on perspective, that symmetrical line has been broken. So if I were to mirror and weld, even if I could, but for the sake of arguments, yeah, if you want to mirror and weld and you have subdivisions, you go and mirror and weld, it's going to tell you it's not possible. So And now that I am also saving Z tools, we're going to do double the save and double the fun and double your pleasure. You know the rest, hopefully. Or just date myself. All right. Cool. Okay, very, very cool. Now we're going to go ahead and... Actually, we're going to raise this surface up a bit. That's what we're going to do next. I'm actually going to come through here and mask this section off. Oop. I want to raise this up a little bit. Get this side as well as possible. Take this and make sure that this over here is not... Actually, let's back that up for a second. Let's make sure that's a cleaner mask. There we go. Hard surface this. Let's clean this section up. So we're going to use the mask and extract method. Anytime I want to add thickness to something, this is more than likely the method I'll use. Now what's really cool is if you do have subdivisions and stuff like that, and you have multiple polygroups, you can go ahead and using mask select will also select the inside of something. So what I'll do is I'll actually select the poly group that I want to keep, switch that, unmask that section. No, don't do that to me. You did that to me. Never mind. I don't know why that didn't work. Okay. You know what? Let's back that up. I just found another way. We're going to invert that, switch that over, mask this off, cover masking that. There we go. Leaving that selection there. Troubleshooting, man. Just do it as much as possible. Let's go ahead, and I'm actually going to delete lower, and then I'm going to go ahead and go to extract 0 and hit extract, and I'm going to keep that. I am going to come back to, not there, where are you? I'm going to come back here. I'm actually going to go back in time to bring back my subdivisions and clear that mask off. So now not only do I have this piece, but I also have this piece. And this piece we're going to clean up, and then we're going to extrude it. And if I lost you there, feel free to ask me questions. I had to troubleshoot that last little bit. Okay. Now what we're going to do, invert, kind of soften that a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and polish by features. And what's cool is if we take a little bit extra chunk that we don't want, that's okay. We can go ahead and take our select lasso and deselect the areas that we don't want to get a much cleaner surface. Something like that. Bit over there for some reason. Okay. Go. Something like that. Should be fine. Let's go ahead and delete hidden. And what's cool is what we can do is clear this out. We can uncrease stuff, and then we can recrease. So let's go to crease, uncrease all, and then let's recrease it, and that's going to crease the edge around as much as possible. Actually, before that, let's just go polish by groups. Then we'll go ahead and crease it. Perfect. Now from here, we're going to go ahead and ZRemesh this and get this looking a little bit cleaner than it is. So let's go to Geometry, ZRemesher, Groups, Keeps, perfect. Yeah, it would be nice not to have the subdivision limitation for mirror and welding. Yeah, you know, actually, I'm kind of curious on like why it's structured that way. I get what you mean though. It would be kind of nice. I wouldn't mind not having that limitation. But I wonder if it's a programming thing. But I get it, man. But just think of it this way too. If you are mirror and welding, then you're still changing forms and shapes. And if you're changing forms and shapes, I don't recommend being in subdivisions anyway, because that stuff, subdivision is just better for detail in my opinion. So I kind of think of it that way, so I don't end up thinking about mirror and welding too often once I've subdivided. Toy designer, I have a question. When will ZBrush ATT a toy maker's tool set to the app? Oh, are you talking about articulation? What do you mean specifically? But to go a little further on that, actually, I have no idea what they do with ZBrush. I'm just the artist. I just use it the best I can. So yeah, but when will they attach? So yeah, articulation is pretty in depth, and I know that there are methods and processes you can use to streamline that process, but the way I learned articulation is a very custom niche thing. But that being said, I would have no idea when or if they would ever do anything like that. You know, you can always reach out to Pixologic and ask. But if you were to type in to ZBrush Pixologic Hasbro, there was an amazing artist named Paul Bennett. And Paul Bennett got asked by a really awesome, come on, bring it down. He got asked a really awesome question in the crowd, and he covers articulation really in depth at the 2019 ZBrush Summit, and he even demonstrates it live. What I recommend for anybody new into articulation is, while the resources are very, very low on the internet, and it is hard to find, definitely start there. Yeah, you follow him? Yeah, me too. Yeah, Paul Bennettson. Yeah. You seen it? It's amazing? Great, wonderful. Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, yeah, not quite sure how to completely answer your question, but I would say it might be worth reaching out at that point. Okay, so now we're going to do ZRemesh a few more times, and I'm actually going to turn smooth off, and we're actually going to go ahead and do like maybe 2. Yeah, hey, not a problem. As somebody who's learned articulation, the School of Hard Knocks, for me it was just it's a trial and error process. And the things I've done in the past for companies when freelancing, ultimately, I don't know if my articulation was 100% right, but I didn't get a kickback. So that was good. But it's a bit of love, that's for sure. All right. Yeah, Joseph Druss also has really good point. Joint making process. Yeah, he does. Yeah. I haven't seen too much of his joint process. I've seen a couple of his older YouTube videos where he talks about it a little bit, but nothing too in depth. Okay. Now that we have something that we like, I'm going to go ahead and extrude this out. All polygroup. Something like that. I'm actually going to go ahead and kind of push this in a little bit. Now from here, I could kind of just extend that. Right. Now I'm going to go ahead and crease some areas, make them really sharp. Yeah, it really is. No brick back equals winning. Yeah, that's what I say. Oh, you like that? Great, wonderful. Move on with your life. Time to do it. But it definitely can be, you know, I find it, when learning articulation, I found it extremely nerve-wracking. It was not an easy process for me to grasp out the gate, but just a lot of trial and error. Okay. Now I'm just repositioning this right back in. So give that helmet just a little bit of thickness. And if I take my Z modeler brush, hover over an edge, and select crease, and go ahead and crease the edges we want to keep sharp. Going to be really useful. Okay. I think that's pretty much all of them. So if I hit, oh, that's not all of them. There's a couple right there. Odd. So let's go edge loop complete. There we go. What I'm also going to do is I'm going to go down to poly groups, and I'm going to do group by normals, which will give me different poly groups for each face that is at least a 45-degree angle by default. And this will help me clean it up officially and also see, like, I didn't crease that area there. So I'm going to go ahead and go over an edge, crease edge. I'm going to crease that section there. And what this will do is also kind of showcase all the areas that should be creased. There we go. And then what I can do is ZRemesh one more time, but I can keep it at the same polygroup level, or at least pick, you know, something like a 2. See if that'll clean up a little bit more. Yeah, that's a little bit better. There we go. So we'll do this, which will also help us get really nice plane changes. Like that. There we go. Now what we can do is we can take this space here. Let's go ahead and solo that out. Actually, before we do that, I'm going to grab the single face. I do want to pull that out just a little bit more, because I'm going to actually want to bevel that and make that look pretty nice. So let's do that. Let's go Z modeler. There we go, hover over there. Instead of crease, we're going to go insert. Ooh, we got some spirals. That's not good. Alright, spiral bits are no good. I don't like that. So we're going to ZRemesh this. Let's turn that off. We'll keep our creases. And let's do same. See what we get. want that to be a little bit better topology. It's not looking good. This is going to be a bust or a full figure. This is going to be a bust. Okay. So we're actually going to kind of crease this loop a little bit. What I'm going to do is add right there. Just a bit. Okay. And then we're going to come to geometry crease. And what we're going to do is increase the subdivision, but I'm going to say crease subdivision at like a 2. Actually back that up. Amic subdivision, smooth 2. There we go. Yeah, perfect. Apply that. Go down to crease. Take that down to like a 2 or a 3. So that'll kind of just give us a little bit smoother of an edge. Kind of gives us a little bit of a bevel, which is nice. So it's not a super sharp edge. Just gives us a bit of roundness and texture. There we go. Now I'm going to go ahead and Control-Shift-D. And I'm going to mirror and weld this the other side. So let's go ahead and just, I don't know, I tried to select it right there. Just put this over here. I'm going to go ahead and mirror and weld it. But you can't do it, so we're going to go ahead and delete lower, then mirror and weld. Then I'm going to select the one I want, delete hidden, and now I'm going to zoom back in here and reconstruct subdivisions, which will bring back the subdivisions that I had. And now we'll end up placing this on our model. That is, of course, if it's the same shape. If it's not the same shape, then hopefully we'll be able to just kind of tweak it a little bit. Which we're going to have to do. Which I figured. Asymmetrical, you can't be perfect. So let's go ahead and drop this down. And let's match it. Hey, hello! How are you guys doing? Welcome in, Nadura? Hopefully I said that right. Welcome in. There we go. Now we're just going to go ahead. This is the cool part about working with subdivisions, is that we get to lower them and manipulate them however we want, and then step it back up when we're done. It's down here. We're going to bring this here. Just going to move it. Just like such. Rotate that. So again, I usually do the brute force method, where I just like slam 2 pieces of digital clay together and say that that's gonna look good. So, you know, I could have repeated this process too. If I end up not liking this, we'll do that, but I think I can make this work. Where you just end up masking the other side of that mask, and then you just do the other side exactly how you did the first side. But as you can see here, just got this working for me. So Step it up. Go. I love the fact that we as sculptors have so much freedom in ZBrush. Thank you, Pixo. I know, man. I am with you right there. Honestly, I think that the way I think and the way I process information, I'm not super technical, but I try to learn technical attributes and apply them because it's only going to make me a better artist. But I like the fact that when in doubt, I can just do the process that's comfortable to me. Because there's just hundreds of ways to do the same thing in ZBrush. And that, I like that option. Just works. Go. Yeah, same. Nice. Fantastic process result. Congrats. Thank you so much. Yeah, now we're going to go ahead and what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the polish feature and I'm going to go to brush and then I'm going to go to depth. And I have a shortcut up here, but it's just brush depth. And what I'm going to do is actually adjust this to be near 0. Just going to go ahead and do a light polish on the surface. Because here I'm going to be doing, yeah, from far away, that's looking pretty good. Approach. Nope. Yeah, that sounds good. I keep hitting a different button for the mask tool, and I don't mean to. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to work on this part right here, and I'm actually going to make this look like a piece underneath a piece to give it some more depth. Because right now, even though this looks kind of neat, like a good seam, I want there to be just a little bit of depth. Just a little bit. So I'm actually going to go ahead and take the mask lasso. I'm going to come through here. I'm going to mask off this section right here. Then I'm going to invert that through here. Really sharpen that mask up. Mask off any areas that are still causing me problems. Oop. Go. Turn this back on, and now I'm going to go ahead and take the trim tool. I'm going to trim underneath it real quick. Bringing just a little bit more depth to this piece. See what that does. If that is not working the way we want it to, which it's not giving me the best result I want, that's okay. Sometimes we'll do something we're like, ooh, that's gonna work really, really cool, and then it's not. Yeah, go ahead. Okay, great. Let's try something. No, don't do that. Okay. You know what? Let's take the inflate brush real quick. Let me see if this will do. Kind of what I want it to do. Try this one more time in a different way. Go ahead and get rid of that. Oh, get rid of that. Hold Alt officially. go. Okay. Sharpen, sharpen, sharpen. Bloop, bloop. What is this music? This is Pretzel Rocks. And it's... essentially, it is just freeware music. Non-copyright, so nobody gets a lawsuit. You talk like a train of thought when I'm working. That's kind of reassuring. Nice, man, nice. Yeah, I talk a lot about yeah. That's I feel you, man. That's good. Because you know, a lot of times it's just gonna be you're just gonna try something, and you know, I've made about like 0 helmets before this stream. This is the first real helmet I've done. I've done a few masks, but never like a full head helmet. And so, you know, I have some ideas and stuff I want to play with, and ultimately, some things are going to work out, some things don't. I think the most important thing to remember at the end of the day is if it's not working, abandon it. It's okay. And the same technique is not going to apply well to every project. So just because it worked once before and gave you what you were looking for that project, maybe it won't work the second time. So, yeah, I'm with you, man. Yeah, not a problem. Like right now, I'm actually going to be cutting into this a little bit more because I think that's going to be the best look. So I'm going to cut back into here like this. And then I'm going to take that inflate brush and kind of bring that pinched effect back that I started with. I think that's going to give me the best result. And then we'll grab our move brush, BMV, and we're going to go ahead and kind of line that up like such. There we go. Yeah, I think that's better. Come back here, and we'll just start pinching the rest of this together. And you can see me going back and changing that issue I was having is actually giving me a much cleaner result than what I was going with originally. So, when in doubt, do it over. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. There we go. Come through. So that nice /3 brush came in, cleaned it up, pinching this together. And that's looking pretty good. I'm happy with that. Now we're going to play with some texture effects that I think might be kind of cool. And then, hope we got an autosave. And then from there, yeah, we'll start moving on to the suit aspect. I'm going to go up in subdivision now. So at least we have about 4.5. I'm going to save my project and save my ZTL. So we got a little bit of height here, because eventually this will merge into one. We can even put some rivets and stuff in there. I think that'd be kind of cool. But first, water. Oh, and for the music, so if you go and you download Pretzel Rocks, it's what I'm using. That's what you're hearing mostly. And then I just have like some synthwave station turned on, and you know, hopefully that works out. Always carry an approved stamp into the meeting. Stamp when they go get coffee. Nice. They would have apparently lights had an apparent seam. What tool and setting would you recommend for the lines to be visible? You mean like a You mean like a stitch seam? Illits? Not sure. This is how I would approach 90% of my seams, and then if I need like a stitch or something, I just use the stitch brush that's in ZBrush. Am I using marmoset or substance or ZBrush for baking? I don't need to bake as a digital sculptor for toys. Most of my stuff I don't ever really need to have a low topology and a high because I'm not setting for animation or any type of rigging. So most of my stuff is actually just more sculptural work, um, and that's good enough for toys. We just have to make sure our stuff's watertight. But I have used those programs, and yeah, they work great for baking. Yeah. Think of it this way. This is how I think of it. Retopology is to games and movies and animation in general as key cutting and dynameshing is to toy making. So anytime you want to 3D print something or manufacture a physical object of your sculpture, the topology doesn't matter. What matters is that it's watertight, it's clean, and it is able to be manufactured and printed so that softwares can read it and slice it properly. And every software does it differently. So I don't ever have to retopologize if I don't want to. There are times I do when it comes to getting things a very specific cleanliness or sharpness. But for the most part, my approach is very down and dirty, like slapping clay on an armature. Okay, textures. So here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna go ahead and oh, I already did all that. I don't know why I'm like quadruple saving here. I don't need to do that. Close holes and your 3D printing, friend. Exactly. Do it. Do it. Alright, so I'm going to add some detail, and there's a method I've been playing with. I say that a lot. If you're new or curious, I experiment all the time in ZBrush. I'm always trying something new. So I say that a lot, I know. But there's this method I've been playing with that I think is really, really cool. And I did this method once before, so I think it'll be kind of fun. We're going to go ahead and try it again. I'm going to grab the mask pen. I'm going to manually finish the rest of this masking. By the way, Peaky in the Brain did float. I need to love the print. Nice! Heck yeah, dude. Heck yeah. That is awesome. I don't know if you know this, but that was a collaboration piece, by the way, between a buddy of mine. He goes by Inspire 3D, for some of you who may not know him. But him and I got together a few months ago. And he'd actually started, and I was like, dude, that's so awesome, man. Are you going to do Brain as well? We got talking, and then he was like, hey, why don't you do it? I was like, yeah, let's do it. So that was a really fun project. I'm glad it floats. Okay, I'm also going to take the mask pen. What I'm going to do is I'm going to hold the, let's see, hold control. No, air control, back face. I'm going to turn back face mask on. What I'm going to do is actually unmask this inside real quick. Like such. Oh, I know him. He's cool. Yeah, he's, yeah. Absolutely. Yep. All right. No, that's not what I mean to do. I mean to do this. Yeah, he's a cool dude. Yeah, really awesome sculptor too. Okay, now I'm going to select this side. And let's take that lasso one more time, and we're going to go ahead and mask this area off. Promise it'll be worth it once you see what I'm going to do. Mask this section off. The masking off the sections that I want to have a different texture. Something like that. Go back here. Make sure nothing else is selected. Sharpen, 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 invert, sharpen, 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 invert. Okay. Actually, let's invert it that way. Save it real quick. Can you show us how to make simple and effective joints for arms and legs for 3D printed figures? That is a huge undertaking. I haven't done it in a while, but I can give you the basic rundown of how I approach it here in a minute. But I don't know if you were here for when I dropped that one Hasbro video, but I highly recommend you actually check this video out first. But that being said, no, I don't mind showing you guys. Give me 1 second. That's cutting joints is pretty complicated process, but I can give you the basic understanding. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and take this, and I'm actually going to go to Surface, and now I'm going to go to Lightbox. Now I'm going to pick a texture that I kind of want this unmasked area to be. And this is just under the ZBrush stuff, which I'm going to go... want something that's fabric-y. Fabric-y. Or, ooh, this would be cool. Let's touch that. Okay. We're going to grab that. And we're actually going to go into edit mode. And hopefully you guys can see this. What's going on here. But you can see the mask is actually protecting where some of that texture is. I'm actually going to go a little bit positive. And then we're actually going to take the alpha scale. Now, this actually might be good to cut UVs. So let's actually cancel out of this. Back that up. We actually have enough to cut UVs. So what I'm going to do is just going to drop it. Let's see, will it let me do it with the mask feature? Let's find out. Let's go to UV Master. Down here. Not symmetry, poly groups, unwrap. Oh yeah, it unwrapped with the mask, I think, maybe? Yep, it did. Alright, cool. That's going to be really helpful. So I just went to Z plugin, unwrap, I select polygroups and hit unwrap. And that basically turned everything into to have a UV. So if I go to UV map, you can see here I have UVs. And if I go to morph UV, here's what my UVs look like. They're just automated, nothing too crazy. Okay. Now, with that UV texture, we're going to go back into Surface. Let's save it real quick. Anytime I do big changes, I like to save a lot. Go into Noise. Nope. Let's go into Lightbox. Let's try that again. Let's grab that. Now let's go into Edit. Let's turn on UVs. Now we can get a little bit of that information that's right there. Actually want to drop it down a little bit more. And I want to increase the strength a bit. Something like that. Now I do have a seam that's right here. Also too, this color, just take that color blend off. I don't really care for that. Let's see if we can adjust or offset this in any way. Okay. Turn relevant off. Let's readjust that. Now I'm just playing to see if I find something that I like. If I don't like this UV, let's go ahead and cancel it. Let's go back in the light box. Let's try something a little bit different. And just play around and see what we get. So let's maybe try... not that one. I'm really nitpicky today. Nothing wrong with that. Let's double tap that one. Let's try this one. Let's go in here and let's see if we get something that we really like. No, I do not like that. Ooh, that might be fun. This might be a lot of fun. (3D) UV. Yeah, that's gonna be cool. All right, I'm digging that now. We'll cut into it a little bit like such. And then we'll drop the alpha down. A little bit more like that. We'll add some noise. See what that looks like. Yeah, that's pretty cool texture. And then what we can do is we can come in here real quick and let's finish cleaning up this mask a little bit, because now we can see areas that are not what we want. So we can come in here, mask those off, and we're good to go. Yes, I did the UV before it. When I had it masked off, what I did was I dropped the subdivision by hitting Shift D, which drops the subdivision down. And then at the lowest subdivision, I just went to plugin, unwrap, and that will unwrap. And then I stepped it back up, and now we're here. And let's go back, not to masking, but to surface, edit. Let's take that color off, say okay. Now that color's a little bit different. And so with the surface still on, I can clean up this mask and clean up where that texture is going to apply. I could also put this on a layer if I wanted to, but I'm fine with the way it's looking. I'm just holding Control and masking where I don't want there to be texture. Let's see, I've been a digital sculptor for over 10 years, and 3 years ago I started making 3D printed sculptures, and a month ago, 3 years ago I started making 3D printed sculptures, and a month ago I started learning to do joints. It's hard, but once you get the gist of it, it's easy. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, joints are trial and error. You know what, I will tell you this, guys. There's one other thing that you want to do if you want to get into articulation. And we're going to go full screen here, so you're going to see my beautiful face. If you want to learn joints, get yourself an action figure. Okay? Watch that video that I sent you. That's probably your best solution. I am kind of coming up with a process on how to teach this a little bit more, but joint articulation is kind of a thing on its own. But if you really want to learn joint articulation, you're recreating a joint that has already been manufactured. So take yourself like, you know, your action figure and pull them apart. So find one you don't mind ripping apart, and take a look at stuff like this. This is the the barbell joint that's inside, and this is that socket. It's really just that simple. And you start with something like that, and then you find something that you can basically cut together. There we go. Snap him back together. He's fine. He's tough. He's Batman. But you can see that usually most toys are barbell joints and hinge and disc joints. So those are really simple process. The video I sent you, Paul Bennett, he demonstrates the disc joint, disc and hinge a little bit. But the rest of it, yeah, the rest of it is just kind of seeing what other people do and try to recreate that, and pay attention to the motion. This is your best teacher for joints, a toy. So pull out all those cool toys that you have, or you know, buy one in the midst of buying other toys for other people and sneak one for yourself. And from there, just kind of take them apart and see how it is, and then try to recreate that as best as you can. But I do plan on going over a little bit more in the future, because I have ideas and I've played around with it enough. But I also want to make sure that you guys get the right information, so I would start there first. What is up? A-Cube! It's an A-Cube. It's an Ash. You guys know Ashley, right? Please tell me you know her. Please! Tell me you know A-Cube. Know her. She's awesome. Check her out. Go. How are you doing? How is life? Alright. Oh, is this Captain? Yes, it is. Do you want to see it? You want to see? I'll show you. Here he is. Look at those beautiful sound effects. This is my take on Zombie Cap. And I love him. And he's going to be a bust, and he's going to be 3D printed, and life's going to be good. We be talking about articulation and ripping apart Batmans. So all for the name of art. All in the name of art. I don't know. It says, oh, okay, yeah. Who is Ralph Shutter? No, I don't know a Ralph Sutter. I don't know why I said shh. There's no H there. But Ralph is a cool dude and a great sculptor. That is awesome. Well, I'll have to check him out. You did a few private classes with him? Nice, nice. Is he in the toy industry as well? I guess the real question I have is, how many people here are actually like really interested in articulation? Because if there are enough people, then that's a stream, that's a dedicated stream-worthy event that I would gladly do in future streams. Plan for it a little bit more, so that way I can get you guys the best information possible without feeling like I'm rushing it or cheating you in any way, shape, or form. Because that's the problem with articulation right now, is that trying to get that information out correctly, it's going to take some time. You guys are going to be like, oh my lordy, what the heck happened? I'm going to actually cut this a little deeper. So I'm going to go strength, like really push it. Oh, whoops. Cancel, edit. You look at the right side. There you go. we go. There, that's a little bit better. Oh, right. Well, you know I am. Heck yeah, Ryan. I would usually do that. How about use the lazy mouse and mask capacitor? Yeah, that's a good tip. I like that. Kamara, hello. Bro, what would be your advice for brand new artists that knows, or brand new ZBrush artist that knows how to sculpt from on the outside but struggling how to get our head around the software? Please be real with us, 100%. Okay. All right, I'm gonna be real with you, 100%. If you are new to ZBrush and you're freaking out on how massive the UI is, don't try to learn everything. Take one thing and just see what it does and play around with a couple things at a time, but don't overwhelm yourself. It doesn't matter what kind of artistic abilities you have on the outside. When you're learning a new software, approach it from that mentality first. I find that that's helpful. See what certain things do. But it's obviously a program that's designed to sculpt and paint. So, you know, whatever artistic abilities you have, rely on that as well, because you know if something's going to look good or not. If you've been an artist for, let's say, 3 to 5 years and up, like 3 to 5 years, you've practiced basic forms, shapes, anatomy. You kind of are like, all right, I want to get better, or I want to try a new medium. Understand that you've already learned the information and the basis that you need to be an artist. It's just you need to apply them and work on them, and always try to better those processes. When going into ZBrush, doesn't matter if you have 0 experience as a sculptor or 100 years as a sculptor. What matters is that you're learning a new software. So approach it from hey, I'm going to learn this software. I'm going to see what certain things do. So try certain things, note them down, but don't overwhelm yourself. And I know that's easy to say and hard to do, but start simple. Like when you grab, let's say this guy right here, this is your brand new, you're in here, just play. Don't try to make, don't try to make this your first attempt. Try to just see what it does. Play with it. Get comfortable with the software. Treat it as software first, then start applying your artistic knowledge afterwards. Once you got that going, it's downhill from there. Because I will be honest, 100% ZBrush is a very funky program to jump into. And when I first got into ZBrush, I hated it. I was like, nope, I don't want to do this. My buddy who was trying to get me into it was like, dude, I'm telling you, you're going to love it. I'm like, I don't understand what I'm doing. 2 months later, I got back into it. And I started tugging and pulling and playing and seeing what things did, noted that down. And then I was like, okay, all right, let me try to make a head now. And then it goes from there. So, yeah, start at the software level. Try to understand it a little bit, see what things do, see what the most common pipeline is that people apply, and then try to mimic that. And you should be okay. Yeah, that's an interesting topic. Would love to learn, would love articulation, would love it, would love it, would love it. Awesome. Well, if that's the case, then it's going to take me a little bit of time, but if that's the case, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of gather up some very basic approaches to articulation, and I will do a dedicated live stream for that. My cylinder man, yeah, I know, right? I thought you'd love it. Yeah, there are tons of beginner tuts on YouTube, very good. Yeah, it's good advice. Just get your hands dirty. Yeah, ZBrush, just click. Also, too, guys, Google Z Classroom. Z Classroom. Google that. Tons of videos over there. Let's see. It took me an entire year to learn 3D printable hair. Ooh, yeah. 3D printing hair is fun. ZBrush UI made by aliens, and it takes time. It took me about 3 months to get used to the UI. UI is very deep. Yeah, agreed, yeah. Like everyone wants to be a wizard or pro right off the bat, but most tuts you see the artist being speedy with sculpting. They've been using it frequently to become fluent. Just like learning a new language, practice a couple phrases till you nail it, and then nail them learning what you need to go on. Wow, I like butchered that last part for you. I'm so sorry. Absolutely. Build your own UI configs, borrow steps from others, then build the tool list you need. Oh, perfect. Thank you, AQ. Thank you. Love the articulation tutorial. Yes, I know there's not a lot out there. There's almost zero information out there. That's why I keep pushing the Hasbro ZBrush Summit one, because that's the best one out there in my opinion. But I will put together something that will go over basic articulation, pretty simple processes, and maybe some tools to give away too. You know, if you need them. Or click and add, skip go. Yeah. Mike Pav is ZBrush. He's a great resource. If you're watching his videos on YouTube, slow him down to like 0.5 to 0.75 and it'll be normal speed. Okay, I'm gonna okay, I'm out. Good to see you. Cap's looking cool. Thanks, AQ. Bye everybody. Bye AQ. Bye. Alright. Here's what we're gonna do, guys. We're gonna save this. And then I'm going to apply this fun little detail that we got going on here. All right, save, save, save. And then this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna come into our surface and we're gonna go ahead and say apply to mesh. And this will make it actually part of the mesh, just like such. And now I'm gonna invert that mask and we're gonna go into, we're gonna delete that. We're gonna go back into noise, right? And now we're actually going to get some noise texture. So we're gonna come in here and scale this. I just want some simple noise. I don't want anything too crazy. Go ahead and kind of cut this in a little bit, like such. Go. Just a little bit like such. We'll probably cut that a little bit deeper, like there. And then what we'll do is when we apply it, it's actually really going to soften. So now we have two different textures on that mask. But so now we have that. Yeah, I slowed down his videos numerous times. Yeah. Articulation for getting my teenager to cut the That's awesome. Let me know if that works. Okay. Gonna bring that up, bring that noise in there. Let's cancel that. Drop this down. Gonna go ahead and polygroups, unwrap it. Have a shortcut here. Up that subdivision noise, UV. Actually, do I want that or do I want a lightbox noise? It's all fun stuff. Nope, not that one. Let's try that. Go ahead and edit. UV. There we go. Say okay. Something like that. That coloration, turn that off. Say okay. Go back in here real quick. Turn that relative strength. There we go, something like that. Say okay. So then when we apply this to the mesh, it'll settle that down a little bit. That'll give us some pretty decent texture. Now here's a cool trick if you're working with any type of subdivisions. If you make sure that the subdivision levels are about the same from top to bottom, so these two subtools, turn everything else off, these two subtools have subdivision level 6 and you have UVs on them, what you can do is go ahead and merge, go down to merge, turn on UV, and when I say merge down, say OK, it's actually going to go ahead and it should keep that subdivision level. If that subdivision level breaks for whatever reason, then it could mean that there's actually an issue with the mesh and you want to re-subdivide, but for the most part, you just merge on down. Let ZBrush think. Do you print the pieces yourself or send them out? I print them myself, typically. But I do have friends who like to print my stuff. Oh, you're using Amen's joint and hinge IMM sets for figure making? Nice. No, yeah, he did a great job with that. That's actually my first joint set that I got into before I started making my own. There we go. It took a little bit of time, but now we have subdivisions. And that is our helmet. And it's a beautiful helmet. Drop it down 1, really higher. We don't need 6. There we go. Oh, look at that. Look at that. We don't need those extra guys. Alright. Go ahead and delete that one. Don't know why we have that there. Hide that guy. Alright, great. Let's save it. And let's move on to making the collar. Hold on one second. Very cool. I don't understand, says Lewis, how you apply the same material to a non-symmetrical surface. How to apply the same material and configuration to the other surface. Okay, so what I was using, so let me go ahead and break that down. Great question, by the way. So let's take the cylinder that I happily sculpted so beautifully. I'm going to make this a different poly group just for demonstration purposes and easy masking. I'm going to subdivide this up to about 2 million, okay? So what I did was, if we take this right here, if we mask off one side while using surface, so what surface is if you go over here to your tool panel on the right hand side and go to surface, you have this option called noise, okay? And underneath it you have lightbox. If you open up lightbox, what this is ZBrush has presets of different types of textures and material feels, you know, like different type of textures that make it seem something different. They have all these different presets. And on the same subtool, if you decide to select and mask this one section off, okay? Actually, let's go back. Let's just go back. Let's take our Lightroom, okay? And I'm going to pick this nasty looking one right here. All right, so we have this here. If we go into edit mode, we have a few options at top. Now this is a lot of information to probably absorb real quick, but remember you can always go back and rewatch. So at the very top here, you have Open Save Copy 3D. If you have UVs and you turn on UVs, now you actually have the ability to follow a UV seam. And then you have all these different options, right? But here's the cool part. Let's say I don't want this texture over everything. I only want it on one half or one section of my model. So you can use masking to your benefit. So here, what you could do is bring up your poly group or mask a section. So I'm going to grab this. I'm going to mask it. Control W. Okay. I'm going to go back a little bit first. Let's go back. Mask this off. So I just Control Z to undo that process. Then when I come in here and I grab a new texture set, notice it's only being applied to where the mask is not, where there is no mask. So I'm able to control where I put my texture. So I can come in here, go to edit, turn on UV, say, yep, that's good. I like that. Then I go to apply mesh, let it apply to the mesh the way it is. Now I'm going to switch my mask over and I'm going to repeat that, but this time I'm going to do something like this. back real quick. Come on, grab that. Mask it. There we go. Oh, before you do that, sorry. Got to delete the old surface. That's what. Then go back to your, not noise, your light box. Grab a different texture. Now that's the other trick too. So when you apply different textures, the old one remains. So you can apply the same texture directly by turning it back on, which is what happened. But essentially, you just go through, delete the old texture, and then adjust your new one to fit however you want to fit it. Something like that. And then once you apply it to mesh, you now have two different textures on there. Delete the old one, start over. So that's how you would do it. That's how I did it here. To get this. So, and then of course this right here, if I were to pick this guy, let's go ahead and auto groups real quick. Oh, perfect. So with this guy, same thing. Now here's the cool part, right? Here's something else that can happen, which is really, really nice. What texture did I use for this one right here? Is that stars? Stars. Yeah, not a problem. Here's that. Nope, not that one. Is it this one? Thought it was a different one. I think it was a different one. Wow, I just like kind of forgot which which texture I used on the other side. Maybe it was this one? Yeah, oh, this looks right. Yeah, that looks right. So, same thing here. This should have UVs on it, which I just unwrapped right now. And come in here, edit, turn on UVs. There we go. Now what we're going to try to do, okay, so I'm going to try to match this side as much as possible. So I'm going to stamp that. Kind of solo that out for a second. Go back into edit, and now I'm going to readjust. Now I'm going to show you something I should have done. Something I should have, could have, would have, most likely should have done, and I didn't. It's okay though. So what we're going to do is kind of fix this scale. We're going to try to get as close as possible. That looks pretty good. Put that a little bit more. Yeah, that's pretty close. So here's the thing. What you could do before you apply the mesh is go back into edit, and you can actually hit save, and then you can call this helmet side texture, right? Whatever you need to. Go ahead and save that texture out. So let's say I hit OK, and then I apply to mesh, and now let's say I want to redo that more, right? I can go, and let's say I delete this, or I come back. I can go back into noise and open, and there it is. And now I have more texture. So that's another way that you can do that, and then you can get something like that. So just little thoughts. Very cool, very cool. Just found my mentor. Hey, thank you, Neil. Good vibes. Said Nerd's Miniature Painting, how's it going? It's going good. How are you doing? Hopefully all is well. Thank you for asking. I appreciate it. Now, of course, now here's the cool part. When you are working with surface, if you don't have enough resolution to hold the surface, notice up here that I am at 116,000, and I know this one was at like 2 million. So as long as your surface has not been applied, I can go ahead and subdivide as much as I would like to get it as high as I need to. So I know it's subdivision level 6. So I can go ahead then and apply that texture to keep that detail the way I need it to be, right? And now that is good. But if I were to try to subdivide after it's been applied, it's not gonna improve at that point. So that's a little a really cool trick. Drop that down a little bit if I need to. Nope. Let's go back. And the other thing to keep in mind is when you are working with surface, as long as you have not applied the surface, once you do, it's going to soften a little bit. So make sure that you cut it a little deeper than you think you're going to need. It's always a good rule of thumb. So kind of go in, and yeah, there we go. That's better. There we go. And then with the subdivision, I'm actually going to step it down one, because I don't need that kind of high craziness. And then I'm going to go ahead and now do the same thing. I'm going to merge down with UVs, but let's say you don't have UVs, right? Or let's say, for example, you forget to turn on UVs and you merge down. It's still going to keep that subdivision level if the subdivision levels are the same, but it will remove the UVs. And then I'll show you a quick trick on how to quickly get those UVs back, because it's just redoing the UVs at that point. But because it retains the subdivisions, you can step down to the lowest subdivision level, do auto groups, which will basically make sure it'll take every group that's a different subtool within it, and then you just select polygroups, unwrap one more time, and let it do its business, and then you can bring back those subdivisions without no problems. Is this going to be a release? Yes. Yeah, this will be a release. Total fan art on my side, literally a sketch turned right. I just was like really excited about it, so now I was able to recut those. Go ahead and push my details back by just upping the subdivision, and this is going to be just like that. All right, so let's go ahead and start approaching the suit aspect. Let's go ahead and save it. This is going to be really, do all subtools need the same subdivision numbers for 3D printing? No, not at all. The only time you want the subtools to have the same subdivision level is when you're planning on merging the two subtools that still have that subdivision. So for 3D printing, topology doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, we're going to make it watertight, and then we're going to decimate it down as low as possible so that we don't have heavy files. So with that, the thing to remember is that just when you're merging subtools together, if they do have subdivisions, give them the same subdivision level, so therefore you don't have to worry about losing your subdivisions. That way you don't have to go back in ZRemesh, because that's just time wasted. Looks fantastic. Yeah, love the sculpt, dude. A+ work. Thank you so much, Heroes of Bench. How are you doing? Get some water real quick. And two, subdivisions. As I'm moving the pen, notice how the details are soft. As soon as I let go, it snaps back. Subdivisions work great in the performance of ZBrush, because as you start moving around, it will take the preview of the subdivision down to its lowest level. And then when you let go, it snaps it right back. So it saves your computer from working twice as hard. Oh my gosh, it's already 7. It's already 7, people! What is happening? Not a problem. Alright, let's go ahead and get the Captain America suit. So I'm using this dude. There's all my reference if you guys wanted to know coming in. Here's all my reference. And we're just going to kind of get something along this line here with a collar and a sleeve. We're not going to go too crazy. So no need to do all of that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this model and officially lower the subdivision level so I can actually change the form just a little bit more. Because he's zombified a bit, I want him to be a little bit gaunt around the neck. So we're going to drop those traps down just a little bit. Head back a little bit. He's not getting hair. Just FYI, if anybody wanted to know. Okay. We're just going to do that. It's going to give me some pretty good shape. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and am I going to do? Thinking. Okay, you know what? Let's try this approach. Let's save it real quick. And then I have an approach that I'm going to try on how I'm going to do this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate this, Control-Shift-D, and I'm going to go ahead and delete lower subdivisions. And what I'm going to do is actually just kind of mask off this bottom part. Like that. Maybe not like that. Like kind of a collar around him. Something like that. Yeah, that's fine. I'm going to go ahead and sharpen that a bit. Okay, perfect. Just going to take that, and then we're going to go to subtool, just simple extract, 0 thickness, extract it. Let it do its magic. Go ahead and say accept. Now I have this guy. And this is pretty hefty. But now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to unmask this section. And I'm just going to ZRemesh it. Just keep creases. Drop this down to like a 2. See what we got. Good man, just got back from baseball, so join the stream. Awesome, thank you. What 3D printer would you recommend for beginners? Sorry for asking too many questions. First thing, you're not asking too many questions. You're asking the right amount of questions. Thank you so much. I do appreciate you asking questions and that you feel comfortable asking questions. So don't ever worry about that. The printers that I recommend for beginners, absolute beginners, I recommend that people actually get into FDM printing first, followed by resin printing second. However, it's really why you want to get into it. If you're interested in getting into 3D printing for the sake of it, I feel like FDMs can be a little bit more fun and a little bit more of a learning curve so that you really understand what 3D printing is by the time you master that skill set. But that being said, if you're really trying to get into miniatures and you just want to start and you want to get into resin, resin is a much easier printer to operate in my opinion. So I recommend things like the Mars as being one of the top printers to get. Really affordable, get you into 3D printing. FDM, I would say stick on the, if you're on a budget, you know, maybe stick with Creality. They're really good printers. At the end of the day, it doesn't really matter which printer you choose, just do remember that you are you're using a machine that is manufacturing, so take all the safety precautions seriously. Resin printing specifically, wear a mask, make sure a well-ventilated area, that you wear gloves, eye protection. That's why I actually recommend FDM first, because printing printing PLA is probably one of the safest approaches to doing it. And it's just fun. You can print big pieces out the gate. You're not limited to size, where with resin printing you are. So that's why I recommend FDM 2 for beginners. But either way, it's all in what you want to do with it. So, yeah, hopefully that's helpful and not completely overwhelming. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go ahead and slice this bad boy down. Actually, I should have sliced it before I did all that. So let's do this. Let's take the slice curve. I'm actually just going to come through and do like a little slice arch. Let's see what we got. FDM it is. Thank you, not a problem. Yep. And this music has the Walking Dead vibe. Perfect for the stream, right? Yeah, it's coming in handy. Okay, I'm actually going to turn off these lines. It's really hard to see what I want to do. If that ever happens, just come up to Poly F up here, hit that line, and that will turn that off. Because on this, you have this button here. Most of these buttons are just one click, but then some of them have options. And so, click a line and I'll disappear like such. Do that. We're going to cut right there. Yeah, if you were doing figures, makes very good resin printing under 300 bucks. Absolutely, yeah. Build volume is something to consider for sure. Yeah, exactly. So is there a model that I made that so there's a model that I made that I'm really proud of. How would you advise me to sell it? Should I do a crowdfunding or should I sell it online, and should I 3D print it? That's a big question, man. That's a huge question. My advice to you is just, you know, if you want to try to sell something, try to sell it. Just make sure you have the license to do so. That's a conversation that would take hours to even tackle, but you know, I would say there are plenty of areas like My Mini Factory, ArtStation, Gumroad. You could try to put stuff up there, Patreon. You could try to do that stuff. Freelancing as an artist can be a little bit of a challenge. The thing to remember when you're freelancing is, or you're trying to sell stuff to earn passive income, you know, put it out there, see what people like, and, you know, uh, just, you know, maybe throw out a couple things you're not too sure of, or just throw it out there, see what kind of feedback you get. Worst case is nobody buys it, you know. But if you're trying to sell it for 3D printing, definitely 3D print it first. Don't try to sell it and say it's for 3D printing when it's not prepped properly, because there are processes that, you know, make things a little bit more difficult if it's not properly prepped. So, something to keep in mind. Okay, now I totally want to see this guy. It's back for fun. Except it's Warner Brothers and this is Disney, so just a pipe dream. Yeah, probably just a pipe dream on that. Yeah. But do some homework on the process of cleaning and currying prints. Yeah, YouTube is your friend when it comes to that stuff. I'm gonna be honest. YouTube is such a huge friend. You know, go ahead and see what's there. You know, there's a lot to learn with 3D printing, but you know, I mean, Uncle Jesse was here. If he's still here, check that guy out. Yeah, hit some shows as well. Test the waters, exactly. Yeah, loading question. Yeah, pop in his Discord, we could probably answer the questions you have there. Absolutely, yeah. Guys, if you want to, if you're new to 3D, if you're new to, just, it doesn't even matter. It doesn't matter if you're new or not. If you just want to come and have fun, yeah, pop into my Discord. There are tons of people there who are always willing to help out. It's a small community of artists who just want to help each other. So come on in and have fun. I'm in there when I can be. Work has me busy, but I try to go in there and answer questions as frequently as possible. But there's always somebody with an answer or some help, so definitely. And we have a moderator in there. His name's Ryan, awesome dude. So always tag him as well. Thermal runaway! Yeah. Sell what's yours. If it's not your IP, not your IP. Could be our IP. That's so stupid. Anyway. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and crease these edges. Crease polygroups, which will be good. And let's go ahead, geometry, ZRemesher, and keep creases. Let's do 5, and let's see what we get. How can I check to see if my mesh is watertight? To jump off of what Taboo Bob is saying, or Tattoo Bob, sorry, not Taboo, Tattoo. You can go ahead and use mesh integrity, which is right underneath here, and you can say check mesh. The other thing you can do is you can come up to transform and analyze, select the subtool, and if it is watertight, like let's take this guy for example, we come up here and say analyze, select it. If it's watertight, it's going to say subtool is watertight. If it is not watertight, it will tell you. You can always go to check mesh integrity. It will run a test, and then you can even run a fix mesh. And if there's something to fix, it will try its best, and then you can come back up to transform, analyze, pick any object, and it'll say watertight. But a lot of times, if you just Dynamesh it, it will make it watertight right out the gates. But that's how you can check it. Let's go ahead and half this a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and polish this up a bit. Let's try that one more time. Something like that. There we go. Now what we're going to use is actually, I'm going to go to Geometry, Dynamic Subdivision. I'm going to turn that on. And then I'm actually going to apply a thickness. So that would be something like that. And I'm actually going to go ahead and offset that just a bit. This will be his under kind of neck garment. And I have a mesh problem here. So Control Shift, what is happening? Oh, it is randomly not creased. Okay, let's go ahead and uncrease that all. Try that one more time. Great work. I would like to make a question, non-ZBrush related. What's the OSD you are using to show the keyboard? Diego, just go to YouTube and type in keyboard overlay OBS. Hopefully that should take you right where it is. There's only like one or two of them. There's not a whole lot. Not a problem. Hopefully it's hopefully you guys do like the keyboard overlay, especially with playback. At least it tells you what buttons I'm hitting. I don't have any custom keys or anything like that, so you never have to worry about anything. I think the only custom key actually is 2, which is a shortcut, and 2 I shortcut hotkey to my menu, which again, I will be releasing in the Discord soon. I'm just revamping everything because I'm going to just start most of the stuff that I do. I don't, if I plan on selling it, then I prep for that. But most of the stuff I do now, I don't sell. I just give away because I want you guys to have something cool to print. So there we go. I'm in the middle of creating that kind of website feel to get all that done. Okay, next what we're going to do, we're going to come back real quick to this guy on this mask. Okay, and now I'm actually going to make that kind of V taper. What I'm going to do is I'm going to come down here and I'm actually going to just get rid of that. I want to make this collar. Actually, do I want to do that? No, I don't want to do that. I lied to you all. That's not what I want to do. I want to delete that. I'm going to show you how I'm going to make this collar. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to insert a cylinder 3D. This is a basic cylinder 3D. We're going to go ahead and go to Geometry. I'm going to go to, Geometry? I have a shortcut for it. I'm trying to remember the option. Nope, not Modify Topology. Where was it? Hold on one second. I know I have it here. In a minute. Edge loop. There it is. Edge loop, delete loops. I knew I would get to it. Okay, so what's your opinion about Shane Olson, and have you taken his course? Oh, my tablet just dropped. Shane Olson is awesome. Shane Olson is my teacher. I took his 3D Character Workshop course when I was really trying to kickstart my career, and his course is amazing, and his community is amazing. I'm not gonna lie, when you get into his course, you're actually investing into yourself, so it is worth every penny that he's asking for, and I highly recommend to check it out. His course is fantastic. I hands down think it's well worth it because he teaches you everything. He teaches you the toy process and the game process. And the game process is similar to VFX and animation in movies, television shows. So if you're trying to make game-ready models, then you're already making models that can be used in any facet that gets animated. So it is by far worth it. And if you're just trying to get into toys, like I wanted to get into, then he takes you through the whole process of character creation and development, everything about ZBrush and more. So, yeah, highly recommended. Highly, 100%. Honest opinion. And you can ask him. I blow him up all the time. He's actually revamping his course now. Yep, I know. It's going to be exciting. Yeah, he is in the middle of doing a 2.0 version. He's on 1.5 right now. So if you're thinking about jumping on there, I would probably do it sooner than later. Okay, we're going to group by normals. I'm going to go ahead and take my select rec. Nope, select lasso. And I'm going to grab that edge right there. I'm going to go ahead and delete hidden. I'm going to shrink this down over. We're going to make a collar. Whee! So. And what we're going to do here is I'm actually going to grab these loops right here. Make sure I put that back. Something like that. We're going to go ahead and delete hidden. And bring this down. So I'm working with a single plane. But the single plane, the reason I'm working with it this way is because it's just easier for me to edit on the fly what I need to. We're going to be making a custom collar because it's asymmetrical. So it's easier to work with one plane. And what we could do if we're having a hard time seeing what's going on here, go down to display properties and hit double. That's going to really showcase everything that we need. I'm going to be moving this down like such. This collar comes kind of to a point. Then I'm going to select the very top part, reverse it, and then I'm going to flare it out by just scaling it, dropping that down. That's probably too much. Push that in a little bit like that. Push that in a little bit like such. Just like that. Say, were you a sculptor with clay before? Was I a sculptor before clay with ZBrush, or an illustrator, or does that help? I have a fair share of 2D knowledge, but it didn't help me at all. It didn't help me at all, just because I wasn't a very good illustrator. No, I couldn't sculpt before ZBrush. I wasn't a sculptor at all, so to basically really get into the question, I did watch traditional sculptors because that's what made sense as I was learning how to sculpt. But no, it doesn't matter. What matters is just, you're trying to learn a process. Don't be afraid to just jump in there and try it. I know some people who aren't or don't consider themselves sculptors, but they use it as a tool. So it all depends on how you think about it. Okay. So just kind of tweaking this collar until I get something that I like. Yeah, I think that looks pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and do, nope, not dynamic. I'm just going to go Z modeler. And I'm going to drag this out. Something like that. Hey, what is up, Leo? How you doing? I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. Can we see that pure rev image again? Absolutely, yep. So here's my pure rev. This is what I'm basing it off of right now. I'm just kind of blocking it out, but this is the overall idea and what I pulled. As you can see here, I have some zombies for reference, the original sketch. Now, note, I'm actually taking my own spin on it too. I'm not just doing a straight copy. It's a little bit different. And I'm just using the move brush to position this however I think it should be. I'm going to go ahead and crease polygroups. I'm going to take the Z modeler brush, hover over a face, select crease, and I will be creasing certain edges so that when I do dynamic subdivision right now, which by hitting D will turn that on, that edge will stay nice and sharp. What is the best way to learn ZBrush? Classroom, YouTube videos, you're doing it right now. This Z Classroom, good old-fashioned jump in there and give it a good old college try. All of that is what you would want to do in order to learn ZBrush. Now I'm creating an obvious seam here. By bringing this down a little bit, so I will be adjusting as much as possible. Luckily, when you start dealing with clothing, you can just kind of, tuck things in where you need to. There we go. But I kind of want that slight seam to show, so when I add the second layer on top, it's gonna look a lot better. Man, it's already 7:30. That's crazy. Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm going to be printing it for sure. Yep, we're almost at the point where we want to start adding some good details. But yeah, just building the rest of the clothing. Scale that in a little bit. Just kind of tucking that in. There we go. There we go. That looks pretty cool. Okay, now we can do is select this guy right here. Let's go ahead and save it. We haven't saved in a little bit of time. Zombie Cap is scary, but Zombie Iron Man would be terrifying. Absolutely. If you get a chance, can you show how you did the texture for the mask? I did actually. I did that here, and you're on YouTube. So if you actually back up about an hour, that'll really get into it. But if you're here towards the end of the stream, I can go over that one more time, because that's a technique I started really utilizing lately. Okay, now we have subdivisions at this point. I'm actually going to go ahead and utilize Mesh Project at this point. And Mesh Project, for those of you who don't know, projects mesh. So we can have something like that. And the reason why I want to do that, because I want to create something like this. Go through here. go ahead and select. I'm going to auto group it. I'm going to select this one. I'm going to go ahead and split hidden. I'm going to select this piece, and now I can deal with this guy the way I want to. Basically creating like a nice little pad, some thickness. Gonna ZRemesher this here in a minute. I'm just getting some basic shapes down. It's all about layering. We're gonna do, I'm actually gonna see, does this group by normals work? Nope, it does not, and that's okay. What I will do is I will tone that down just a little bit. That's perfect. Okay, that's good. Oh, it's just a little too thick. I accidentally had dynamic stuck on it. Don't want that. Bring this up and create a little bit of a seam this way. Come on, give me a smaller brush size. There we go. Something like that. Now what's really cool is if we want a little bit of a sharper edge, we can go ahead and hold Shift Control, do Clip Curve, and we can kind of clip some of that back. And if that's too strong, you can hold Shift and Control, hold Spacebar, sorry, Shift and Control, or Shift and Control and look for Z intensity, which would be up here typically, and you can drop that down a little bit. And then you can go ahead and kind of lightly give this a little bit of a straighter edge. So something like that. Gotta make sure that we're going into it. There we go, something like that. So that'll give us a little bit more of a sharper edge. I'm going to go ahead Control-Shift-D by duplicating that. And then I'm going to go ahead and set that over here. I'm going to mirror and weld it. Send that to the other side. And then let's go ahead and get rid of that. Delete hidden. So I have the other side that then I can pretty much just manipulate and get what I want. Let's see, I really appreciate that you take the time to explain. Class act, not a problem. Can it project alphas? Wait, hold on, did I miss something real fast? Can it project alphas? You actually do have, if you go to B, C, you actually do have a curve alpha, but I believe so, yeah. So if I wanted to project on this, turn on the alpha, let's do the star. Does it? No, it does not. Maybe it drags? Nope. It's a great question, and it doesn't seem like it is doing that. That might be something I don't know. It's possible. I don't know a lot of things, but I guess not. But there is a, if you go B, C, and then I believe it is number 5, you have a curve alpha. This is where you can extract out with a curve brush different alpha shapes if you wanted to. So there is that. Emma's watching with me and says she hasn't seen a zombie in 15 years. Had to correct her that she's only around 6. Yeah, you know, that might be a little bit incorrect there, M. So don't do that. But who knows? You know what? You know what? Maybe a past life. You never know. Maybe in the future, yeah. Maybe, yeah. Maybe in the future, indeed. Alright. Let's go ahead and embed that down a little bit. Kind of make sure that that looks like that's where it belongs. And I'm just really killing that mesh, so, you know, let's do that one more time. There we go. Yeah, absolutely. All right. It's starting to look a little bit better. Go ahead and crease that. Now this way. Push that against the mesh that it follows. The suit should be following one another. So as you can see, I'm just layering pieces that I think are going to look good, work well with each other. Asymmetrical sculpting, you gotta love it. Absolutely, yep. It's a little bit of. I actually recommend people really try asymmetrical sculpting because I feel like it really helps A, build some confidence, but B, the technique that you learn from it is when you go to pose something, you're going to have to asymmetrical sculpt because you're going to have to refix a lot of stuff, especially if you're making statues. You'll take a character as far as you can take it, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, you got to pose it and everything breaks. That's normal, so going through and re-sculpting is your fastest, best method. So, doesn't hurt to do that process. All right. And what we're going to do too is we're actually going to be adding, by doing this, I'm actually going to be creating some natural seams. You'll see here in a second. I will be finishing this cloth before I leave though, so you guys can see the final result of it. So I'm gonna like hone in here real quick. I'm glad you guys like this piece. This was a fun piece, and this was me like one night just randomly saying I'm gonna sketch this, guys. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and create another piece right here. Come through here. Up here, I'm going to come back down, create something like that. I'm going to put these next to each other. So this will create a natural seam, as if this is supposed to be one piece. Now, if you guys want to create a sharp edge with the move brush and you're really frustrated at life and not being able to get a nice sharp edge, go ahead and with the move brush, go up to brush, go up to samples, no, curve, AccuCurve, and that will actually help move things into a sharper position. As I'm trying to get this a sharper edge, that will help, and then you can go ahead and turn that off. I have a shortcut up here. Always here, my GPS when asymmetric sculpting recalculate. Yeah. Alright, and let's come here real quick. Okay, this is going to be a fun piece. What we're going to do is actually just come in here like this. I'm going to make this a little small piece like such. You curve, come in here, push that in. This will be making such. Over there, look that up. Okay. Notice that dynamics was still on. So that was making it look like it was blown out. Go ahead and auto groups it real quickie. Grab that piece. Go ahead. Split hidden. And then let's put that back on. I'm going to apply that. There we go. Right now, I'm not too worried about the cleanliness of this. I'm going to ZRemesh this at the end to add some detail. But you can see here it's already kind of adding a little bit of depth to the piece. Just giving us some layers, and we're still not really done with it yet. This music right now sounds like Bloodsport. It's got me super focused. Umate, umate. If you know, you know. Now I can come here, actually pull this out a little bit more. Actually apply that as well. Okay. Alright, let's get some base colors on here real quick. I'm going to go ahead and split hidden. Okay, let's get some simple colors. So what we're going to do is actually go up to Z plugin, and we're going to go to Z color. What Z color does, oh, didn't click it. What Z color does is allow me to color pick off of ZBrush monitor, so I can come in here and actually grab this blue, say set. Now this blue is here, which is perfect. Then I can go ahead, hit V, switch color, click and hold, and grab a darker version of that blue. Say set. Now I can turn that off. What I can do is actually select this RGB fill color, switch, and now I can come through here and actually fill some of my colors, get a more accurate, or at least a simple block out of what everything should be. It's actually going to be, no, that's not a darker blue. Let's just keep it this blue for now. For this, let's actually make this white. And then from here, this will be kind of a brownish color. It's supposed to be leather underneath. So we'll go ahead and fill that object. Now for here, let's get a little nasty. Let's get kind of a yeah, there we go. That'll be good. Fill color there. Here, we're going to get kind of a bone white, but we're going to change material as well to toy plastic. So we're going to go RGB M or mRGB, and then fill. Let's grab that color right there. Fill there. And for this one, we're actually going to go kind of like a purplish blue tongue, because why not? Let's make it gross. Actually, for that, let's do toy plastic as well. And now for the skin tone, what we'll do is we'll go back to Z plugin, Z color. I'm actually going to color pick Chris Evans' skin tone, which might be a little hard. Zoom all the way in. When you're picking skin tone, you want kind of like the mid-range, and it's a little bit warm. Perfect. Let's come here. RGB will fill that kind of base first, like such. And then they already have yellow. RGB, let's actually make this yellow like that. Now let's go back here, okay? What I like to do is, you know, zombies, they have all sorts of different tones and fleshes and all sorts of stuff. So what we're going to do is actually quickly paint. We're not done yet, but this is just helpful for color. What I'm going to do is now going to pick some red or pink. I'm going to go ahead and actually just start painting a little bit softer, where there should be blood flow. I know he's the undead. But around the eyes, forehead area, underneath by the chin, anywhere close where the blood vessels would be really close. Oh, fun. We're gonna probably cut his ears up and stuff, but do something like this. Then I'm gonna go ahead and grab kind of palish yellow. Kind of put a little bit of white over him. So give me at least a base to work with. And then we can grunge it up when we're ready, but this way we at least get a little bit of color going on. I gotta figure out his suit texture. See this underneath. Go ahead and subdivide a few times. Because this is just super simple underneath, we're going to go to surface, and then let's go to lightbox, and real quick let's color sample that. And let's pick this kind of, what is fabric material? Ooh, wait, before I do that, let's come here, let's check to see if it has UVs. If you want to check to see if your model has UVs, open up UV map. There's no UVs. You have subdivisions, step down, Z plugin, UV master, polygroups. Let's unwrap it. Bring that back up. Come back into surface, lightbox, and let's pick something that'd be kind of fun. Be something a little bit more Iron Man, Captain America. Ow. Oh no, don't do that. Don't do that, ZBrush. Yay, it thought. Okay, let's go ahead and let's save. All right. Yeah, let's try that. That could be kind of cool. Edit. I'm going to go to UV now. Let's turn that color off. And then let's play with the scale of the alpha. add a little bit of texture to it. Check to see how that looks so we can turn off that material. That's not too bad. Let's readjust that. Sweats in ZBrush. Yeah. I know, right? Oops, accidentally hit apply. Back, Control Z. Control Z is your friend. It's all happening real time, guys. It's live and you see it happening. There we go. Okay, so earlier somebody asked, hey, how did you do that masking technique where you're like, you were doing that thing where you were able to do on a certain side? I'm going to go ahead and save out this thing. We're going to call this cloth texture real quick. I'm going to go ahead and cancel it, and I'm going to delete that out. If you notice, if you have different polygroups, select the polygroup that you want to have that mask on, mask that off, invert that, go back into noise and open up whatever texture you want or utilize, and notice that that texture ends at that mask. So now it's a much cleaner surface on top as it's intersecting. If I clear it, it's going to generate that mask there, so something to keep in mind. So then when I go ahead and apply to mesh, now that texture, it ended right where I wanted it to. That's how you can get texture on just certain parts of it. There you go. Hey man, what do you think? Sorry, it's not about current ZBrush, but I want to make a tattoo on the arm and no one in my surroundings ever does such a thing. Is that... wait, should you do... Wait, so, Dimitri, are you trying to make a... sorry. Based on how it's worded, are you trying to make a tattoo within ZBrush on a character? Do I understand that right? Always happens when you forgot to save. I know, right? Okay, real quick, I want to show you this stitch brush, and then we'll tackle the tattoo question last. Want to make a tattoo on your arm? No idea, bro. Okay. I would say try to find a tattoo artist to teach you. My best advice. It's like if you want to learn ZBrush, come here, ask questions. Come to the ZBrush guys. Tattoos? Tattoo guys. I go ahead and H polish this flatter a little bit. Okay. What I'm doing is I'm just kind of pressing this close to... Let's turn that off. Down as possible, getting that as close as I want it to get. It's creating that kind of natural seam. Yeah, no control Z's on that, for sure. I got a few tattoos myself. Can't control Z them. Okay. If I wanted to put stitches on here now, signify that these are connected somehow, and I'll probably perfect this a little bit more, so let me just save it real quick. And then there's just this, there's a really cool stitch brush already built in with ZBrush that works out great, that you can utilize if you want. Awesome Dragon Ball shirt, by the way. Thank you so much. Yeah, I love this Dragon Ball shirt. How do we go from ZBrush to Tasman? A simple question. Alright. So, if I wanted to apply stitching to this, there's already a cool stitch brush. Just make sure you have really good topology. So I would step this up to at least a mil or two. And then if you go BS, it's not BS, I promise. Stitch basic. And then what you can do is do morph targets, store it, grab a good brush size. Look at that. Get some pretty nice stitches. Because it's utilizing an alpha, you want to make sure that you have really good geometry, because it's only going to give you a much better, cleaner result. And you'd be surprised what little stitches can do. Nope. Go. And of course, you know, you can do double stitches, you can do single, up to you. Completely up to you, whatever you want to do. Let's see, that's not good enough. There we go. Oh, that's the other thing too. If you do end up having color on them, you can add a bit of color at the same time. Up to you. It's a pretty simple process. Get you the result that you're looking for. There we go. So from here, you know, the stitches start coming into play. And lazy mouse, yep. Hi, Dexter Houston from DC Comics is watching. Awesome, man. Thanks, dude. Save. Yeah, no joke, right? Let's do it. Well, it is 8 o'clock, guys, and that's usually where I end the stream. But one last question. What would be the best place to find a job for a junior sculptor? Real quick, the stitch brush is actually default. Just hit B, S, and then B for brush, S for stitch, B, S, and then U. That makes sense. What I wanted to do here. Oh, okay. So best place to find a junior sculptor job. Honestly, aim for any sculpting position whatsoever. Don't just downgrade yourself naturally, because you'd be surprised. Every studio classifies what a junior sculptor, digital sculptor, senior sculptor. Everybody has different job qualifications, but generally speaking, it doesn't matter if you're going for any of those positions. Have a good portfolio. Have a good solid portfolio that showcases that you can do the job that they're asking you to do, that you understand any programs that you need to understand, the techniques. If you're going for a sculpting position where you're going to sculpt characters like this guy, then you need to understand anatomy. So make sure that you have that your portfolio showcases all of those talents that you have. So when you go to apply to that, it's easy from there. I was never a junior sculptor. I freelanced sculpting for a year during the pandemic, and before that, I worked in the film industry, doing little sculpting jobs here and there, but nothing too serious. I was more graphic design back then, but I didn't apply for junior sculptor. I applied for any sculpting position, whichever company would look at me first, and from there, yeah, that's how you find it. Look, see what it is, see what they're asking, and showcase that through your portfolio. As long as you can do it, your portfolio speaks volumes. That's all that really matters. Also, do I teach classes? I do not teach classes as of yet. Right now, I just teach here. I don't have a whole lot of time to do any mentorships or classes here, but I try to be as available here as possible. So once a week, it's kind of like open forum. Ask any questions as possible. Hey, Spicer's in the house. That's right, man. Calories in, calories out. Clanging and banging, bro. I love it. Came in right at the time I was about ready to bounce. Really had to keep that in mind to apply for jobs. Yeah, just you know, don't cut yourself short. You know, I mean, experience is key. You're gonna want to try to get that experience any way you can, but showcase your talents. See what you got. All right, all right. Okay, guys, so this is where we're at. I still want to go through and detail the rest of those clothing, so I'll probably do a lot more of that off screen, because next week I want to start the very much anticipated anime sculpture that I promised I would start. Also, too, real quick, guys, thumbs up if you already know Spicer, and if you're not thumbs upping, click on Spicer. Trust me. He streams here as well. Awesome dude. Great teacher. You want to learn anatomy really, really well? Check out his streams. He streams on Tuesdays. Or is it Fridays now, bro? It's Tuesdays now, right? When do you stream, dude? Drop it. I think it's Tuesdays at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time or Pacific Daylight Time, which is Los Angeles time. So go in there, do that. But this is the piece I want to get to. This is what I'm going to be sculpting, some more fan art. And I've been pulling references to really get it going good. So we're going to be starting that project soon. Awesome course. Grab it. Absolutely. Tuesdays. You know it. Yep. Perfect. So yeah. Great, great, great. And yeah, Spicer has a great course as well. So check that out as well. And I don't mind plugging it because I've taken it. It's an awesome course. So I always, always, always will stand by what is great. All right, guys. Oh, my project is auto-saving now. Need to hop in the bed. That's okay, tell them, because we are leaving here. Guys, thank you so much for joining me. That was the fastest 3 hours, and I had so much fun. So hopefully you guys had fun too. Please be sure to subscribe, follow, do all that good stuff, and go to summit.pixologic.com to get all this, because you're going to need it. You're going to want it. It's going to be good. You can do the sculpt off. You can hang out with me in my chat while I sculpt off. It's up to you guys, but I'll be there. That's how it works. So anyway, guys, real last question. All right, Leo, my buddy, my pal. Do you recommend any 3D printer? I bought one, but on the first week, it stopped reading my USB. Yeah, resin printer. I recommend ePax or Elgu Mars is one of the great 3D printing companies. For FTM, I recommend Creality, Prusa if you can afford it, but Creality is great, affordable, and easy to do. But hop into my Discord if you got more questions about that sort of stuff. But alright, guys, that is it. Dude, awesome. Great time. I will talk to you guys later. Till next time, every Sunday. Peace.